The screen door slammed like a gunshot in the sticky Georgia heat. And there she was. Luna. My niece. All fire and shadow at 18. Her eyes wild with something I couldn't name yet. She dropped her backpack on the warped pine floor. The thud echoing through the empty kitchen where I'd been nursing a cup of black coffee since dawn. And whispered. Aunt Nova. I think I'm in love with you. My heart stuttered. The words hanging heavy as the humid air. Pulling me under before I could even draw breath. That confession cracked open the quiet life we'd built in the hollows of Macon. Where I'd raised her alone after her mama. My baby sister Clara. Got hauled off to prison for cooking meth in a trailer that smelled like regret and ruin. 10 years of braids and bedtime stories. Of teaching her to fry okra just right and hum old gospel tunes to chase away the ghosts. I'd been her rock. Her everything. In a world that had stripped us bare. But love? That word twisted like kudzu in my chest. Sweet and strangling all at once. I set the coffee down slow. The mug trembling in my grip. And crossed the room in 3 steps. My bare feet silent on the linoleum. Luna stood there. Her chest rising and falling too fast. That wild dark hair of hers falling loose from its ponytail. Framing a face that had sharpened into something fierce and beautiful over the years. She was all Clara in the cheekbones. But my eyes and hers. Deep brown pools that held storms. Honey, I said. Voice cracking like dry earth. You can't say things like that. We're blood. But even as the words left me. My hand reached for hers. Fingers brushing skin warm as summer rain. And a sigh escaped me. Long and weary. Carrying the weight of all the nights I'd lain awake wondering why her laugh lit me up brighter than any sunrise. She pulled back just a fraction. Hurt flickering across her features. But she didn't let go. Blood don't mean chains. Alnava. It means roots. And mine are tangled up in you. We stood there. The ceiling fan whirring lazy circles above us. Stirring the scent of magnolias from the yard. Outside. The cicadas droned on. Oblivious to the quake in my soul. I'd always known she was different. The way she'd steal glances at me while I graded papers at the kitchen table. Her gaze lingering on my mouth when I read poetry aloud. But I'd chalked it up to gratitude. To the fierce loyalty of a girl who'd lost too much too young. Now. With Clara's release papers burning a hole in my pocketbook, she'd be home in weeks. This truth between us felt like a storm barreling down the dirt road. I turned away first. Busying myself with the sink. Letting the water run cold over my knuckles. A breath shuddered out of me. Ragged at the edges. We got enough storms coming? Luna. Your mama's walking free. And God knows what that'll drag in. We can't add this to the pile. She stepped closer. Her presence a heat at my back. And I felt her hand settle light on my shoulder. Thumb tracing the curve of my collarbone through the thin cotton of my shirt. My body betrayed me then. Leaning into the touch like a flower to light. A soft exhale slipping free. Please, she murmured. Breath ghosting my ear. Just feel it. For once. The days blurred after that. Thick with unspoken things. I'd wake before the roosters. Slip out to the high school where I taught English to kids who dreamed bigger than this town allowed. My mind replaying her words like a scratched record. In the classroom. Surrounded by dog-eared copies of To Kill a Mockingbird. I'd lose myself in lessons on empathy. On seeing the world through another's eyes. But whose eyes now? Mine. Cracked open to the girl I'd raised as daughter. Sister. World. Afternoons. I'd find Luna on the porch swing. Strumming her guitar. Those folk songs she wrote spilling out raw and aching. Lyrics about hidden rivers and loves that bloomed in the dark. One evening. As the sun dipped low. Painting the sky in bruised purples. She caught me listening from the doorway. This one's for you, she said. Voice soft as Spanish moss. The chords wove through me. Telling of a woman bound by duty. Yearning for the forbidden fruit in her own garden. My throat tightened. Tears pricking hot. I sank down beside her. Our thighs brushing. And let my head rest on her shoulder. It's beautiful. Sugar, I whispered. The endearment slipping out like honey. Her arm came around me. Pulling me close. And for a heartbeat. The world narrowed to the rhythm of her breathing syncing with mine. A sigh built in my chest. Released slow. Carrying surrender. But Clara's shadow loomed. Letters came first. Scrawled in her looping hand. Full of apologies wrapped in excuses. I'll make it right. Nova. For Luna. For us. I read them aloud to Luna over supper. Collards and cornbread steaming on the table. Her fork pausing midair as bitterness crept into her eyes. She left me with you, Luna said finally. Voice flat. And you stayed. We didn't speak of the deeper ache then. But that night, as thunder rumbled distant, she crawled into my bed during a storm. Just like when she was small. Only now. Her body pressed full against mine. Curves soft and insistent. Her lips brushing my neck in what could have been accident. Sleep evaded me. Pulse thundering. A quiet groan escaping as I shifted away. Yet my hand found her waist in the dark. Holding on. We drove north the next weekend. Chasing escape in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Leaving Macon's flat heat for cooler air laced with pine. The old Ford pickup rattled up winding roads. Radio crooning Patsy Cline. Luna's hand resting easy on my knee. Remember when you taught me to drive this beast? She laughed. The sound lightening the knot in my gut. I nodded. Smiling faint. You stalled it 6 times before you got the feel. Her fingers squeezed gentle. Sending sparks up my thigh. At a overlook. We pulled over. The valley sprawling below like a green quilt. She turned to me. Eyes searching. I don't want to stall us. Aunt Nova. Before I could answer. Her mouth found mine. Tentative at first. Then deepening with a hunger that mirrored my own buried want. I kissed back. Hands cupping her face. A moan low in my throat as rain began to patter the windshield. We broke apart gasping. Foreheads pressed. My breath hitching. This is wrong, I murmured. Even as desire pulled warm. Then why does it feel like coming home? Back in Georgia. The kiss lingered like smoke. Flavoring every glance. Every accidental touch. I'd catch her watching me fold laundry. Her gaze tracing the line of my hips. And heat would flush my skin. Nights grew restless. My body aching with dreams of her skin on mine. Waking slick and ashamed. Yet shame warred with truth. I'd loved women before Clara's fall. Quiet flings in college that faded like fireflies. But nothing like this depth. This bone-tied pull. Luna, sensing my turmoil, gave space. Pouring her heart into songs that played soft from her room. Melodies of patience and plea. Clara arrived on a Tuesday. Stepping off the Greyhound in a sundress too bright for her hollowed cheeks. Her hair chopped short. Eyes darting like a cornered fox. Luna hung back on the porch. Arms crossed. While I hugged her tight. Inhaling the prison's faint bleach on her skin. Sis, she breathed. Clinging. I missed y'all. Supper was strained. Catfish I'd fried crisp. But conversation skirted the edges. Clara prattled about job hunts in Atlanta. Redemption programs. But her gaze sharpened on Luna. Then me. Noting the way our knees bumped under the table. Y'all seem close, she said. Fork scraping plate. Luna stiffened. But I squeezed her hand hidden. Steadying. That night? Clara cornered me in the kitchen. Cigarette smoke curling from the back step. What's going on? Nova? She looks at you like you're more than aunt. My stomach dropped. Words sticking. A long exhale. Then truth spilled halting. She's grown. Clara. Feels things deep. Clara's laugh barked sharp. Feels for you? Jesus. Nova. That's sick. Blood don't bend that way. Her words sliced. But anger flared hot in me. You left her to rot in grief. And I pieced her back. Don't you judge what bloomed in the soil you abandoned. She stubbed the smoke. Eyes wet. I did wrong. But this. It'll break her. I turned away. Chest tight. A sob caught behind my teeth. Luna heard it all. Slipping in silent. Her face pale. She hates me, she whispered. Collapsing into my arms. I held her fierce. Rocking slow. Our tears mingling. No. Honey. She's scared. Like me. In the dim light. Her lips sought mine again. Desperate. And I didn't pull back. We moved to my room. Shedding clothes like old skins. Her body arching under my touch. Gasps filling the air. My name on her tongue. Reverent. Shattered me. We loved slow. Exploratory. Hands mapping familiar yet new terrain. Sighs weaving with whispers of always. Dawn found us tangled. Her head on my breast. Peace settling soft. But Clara wouldn't yield. Days turned to arguments. Her voice rising over breakfast. Accusing. pleading. Send her to Atlanta with me. Start fresh. Luna refused. Packing a bag instead. Threatening to leave for Nashville's music scene. I won't choose between y'all, she cried. Tears streaming. But I can't hide who I am. I stood between them. Torn. Heart fracturing. This family's frayed enough, I said. Voice breaking. Let it heal. Not tear wider. We fled west then. Luna and I. To the dusty streets of Austin, Texas. Where neon buzzed and live music pulsed like a second heartbeat. She had a gig lined up at a dive bar. Her guitar case thumping in the truck bed as we crossed state lines. The radio fading to static then country twang. This is crazy, I laughed. Wind whipping through open windows. First real joy in weeks. She grinned. Hand lacing mine. Crazy good. Austin welcomed us with barbecue smoke and river walks. The Colorado glittering under streetlights. At her show. She sang of us. Voice raw over the crowd's murmur. Eyes locked on mine in the shadows. Tips poured in. Enough for a cheap motel. Where we celebrated skin to skin. Laughter bubbling into moans. Her fingers tracing stories on my back. Yet doubt crept in mornings. Clara's letters forwarded. Full of worry and warnings. Come home, Luna. Before it's too late. I watched Luna read them. Face clouding. And knew the pull of blood. What if she's right, she murmured one dawn. Tracing my collarbone. A sigh escaped me. Deep. Blood ties us. But love frees. We wandered the city. From food trucks slinging tacos to the Capitol's echoing halls. Talking dreams. Me. Wanting a life beyond grading papers. Perhaps writing the stories I'd always bottled. Her. Chasing stages. Voice carrying our hidden song. Clara tracked us down a month in. Showing at the motel door. Gaunt and determined. A bus ticket clutched like a truce. I get it now, she said. Stepping in. Eyes flicking over the rumpled bed. Luna tensed. But I pulled chairs close. Cornbread from a corner store on paper plates. Words tumbled then. Clara's confession of her own buried loves. Lost to bad choices and shame. I ran from mine. Don't run from yours. Tears fell shared. Hugs tentative then tight. The room filling with the scent of forgiveness. Like rain on parched ground. We drove back east together. The three of us. Winding through Oklahoma's plains. Where windmills spun lazy against endless sky. Stops at diners for pie and coffee. Stories unfurling like road maps. Clara spoke of prison's cold lessons. Of writing letters to Luna she'd never sent. Full of love unvoiced. Luna softened. Hand in mine across the seat. Clara's gaze in the mirror kind. In the Smoky Mountains. We camped one night. Fire crackling under stars. Esmore sticky on fingers. To blood that bends, Clara toasted with a thermos of spiked cocoa. And we clinked. Laughter echoing into the dark. Home in Macon felt different. The shotgun house bathed in forgiving light. Clara bunked on the couch. Job hunting real now. Community college classes on addiction counseling. Luna booked a local open mic. Her songs shifting from ache to hope. And us? Nova and Luna. We carved space. Mornings. Coffee shared on the porch. Her head on my shoulder. My arm around her waist. Casual as breathing. Nights. Doors closed soft. Bodies entwining with quiet reverence. Sighs of release and belonging. One Sunday. After church, Baptist hymns still humming in our veins, we walked the river trail. Clara ahead with her sketchpad. Capturing willows and charcoal. Luna stopped me under an oak. Ancient and sprawling. Her eyes shining. Marry me. Nova. Not legal. Not yet. But ours. My breath caught. Joy swelling vast. Yes, I whispered. Kissing her deep. World blurring to just us. Clara turned. Smiling distant. Giving space. Blood had bent. Not broken. Weaving stronger. Years folded like accordions. Time playing tricks. Clara thrived. Sober and steady. Opening a halfway house for women like her. Luna's songs climbing charts. Folk anthems of queer southern hearts. Me. I published that novel. Pages thick with our story veiled in fiction. Dedication simple, to roots that reach. We bought a cabin in the hills. Clara visiting with stories and grandnieces, her own family now. Pieced from choice. On our 10th unspoken anniversary. Porch swing creaking under us. Luna's guitar idle beside. She leaned in. Breath warm. We won. Didn't we? A sigh. Content. Slipped from me. Blood always does. When we let it. The sun set slow. Painting us gold. Love's quiet victory lingering long after dark. The cabin's first winter bit hard. Snow blanketing the Georgia foothills like a hush over old sins. And in that white silence, doubts I'd thought buried stirred awake. Luna, now 28, her voice a fixture on indie radio waves, had taken to pacing the kitchen at odd hours, humming half-formed melodies, her eyes distant as the frost-laced pines outside. I'd watch from the rocker by the stove, quilt over my knees, stirring soup that smelled of carrots and thyme, wondering if the road's pull was calling her away from me. Penny Fort M, she'd say, catching my gaze, but her smile didn't always reach. And I'd force one back, murmuring, just the cold settling in my bones. Clara called that January, her voice crackling over the line from Macon, full of news that twisted the knife gentle. Got engaged, sis. To Marla, that counselor from the house. Wedding in spring. Joy for her bloomed real on my chest. But beneath it, envy whispered soft, their love, unburdened by the years we'd spent hiding ours in plain sight. Bring Luna, Clara added. Pause heavy. Whole family's coming. Luna overheard, leaning in the doorway, arms wrapped tight around herself. We'll be there, she said. But later, in bed with the quilt pulled high, she turned from me, back a rigid line. What if they stare? Nova? See us for what we are? Her voice muffled in the pillow. Small. I traced her spine slow, fingers light, drawing a sigh from her that eased the knot in me. Let 'em stare. We're the story they envy. Spring unfurled green and insistent. Dogwoods blooming defiant along the drive to Macon. Petals like confetti on the windshield. The wedding was at Clara's church. The same steepled one where we'd sung hymns as girls. Now strung with lights and wildflowers. Luna fidgeted in the passenger seat. Sundress hitched high on her thighs. Guitar case in the back like a talisman. Play something for them, I suggested. Hand on her knee. Thumb circling calm. She nodded. Exhaling long. And when we arrived, she did, a new tune. Fingers flying over strings. Lyrics of sisters reclaimed and loves that outlast storms. The crowd hushed. Clara's eyes wet as she walked the aisle with Marla. Two women in white lace. Vows simple and sure. After. At the reception in the fellowship hall. Punch bowl sweating condensation. Relatives milled. Aunts pinching cheeks. Uncles slapping backs. Luna and I danced slow to an old Merle Haggard. Her head on my shoulder. Breath warm on my neck. Whispers started then. Heads tilting. But Clara cut through. Arm linking mine. Their family, she said loud to a cousin's raised brow. Same as us. The tension broke like a wave. Laughter following. And for the first time, holding Luna open felt less like defiance. More like grace. That night, back in the truck, rain pattering soft. She pulled over at a lookout. Kissing me fierce. Hands roaming urgent. To hell with hiding, she gasped. And we loved right there. Windows fogged. Hearts unbound. Summer took us north to New York. Luna's label insisting on a showcase in a village club. Brick walls vibrating with bass. City lights smearing the Hudson like neon tears. I'd never left the South before. The pace frantic. Sidewalks choked with strangers who didn't glance twice at two women hand in hand. Freedom tasted sharp. Like the bagels we grabbed hot from a cart. Cream cheese melting on our tongues as we wandered Central Park. Ducks quacking lazy on the pond. Right here, she urged. Notebook pressed into my palm during a gig's greenroom wait. Her makeup half done. Eyeliner smudged artful. I did. Scribbling scenes of city witches and southern ghosts. Words flowing freer than ever. But the high faded on the flight home. Turbulence jolting us. Luna's hand crushing mine. Her whisper panicked. What if this pulls us apart? Your roots here. My wings there. Fear echoed my own buried one. The age between us, now 20 years, feeling wider in the jet's hum. I kissed her knuckles. Voice steady. Wings need roots to land. Back in the cabin. We argued first reel. Her packing for a tour date in Nashville. Me slamming a drawer on folded shirts. Go chase ghosts, I snapped. Regret instant. She froze. Bag dropping. Tears spilling hot. You're my ghost. Nova. The one I can't shake. We collided then. Apologies and touches. Bodies pressing urgent against the wall. Her cry muffled in my hair as release came shuddering. Sleep claimed us spent. Limbs entwined. Morning light forgiving. Fall brought harvest. Fairs in the county seat with funnel cakes dusting powdered sugar on chins. Ferris wheels creaking against October sky. Clara and Marla visited. Bellies swelling with adoption papers in process. Their joy infectious. Over cider by the fire pit. Stories swapped, Marla's city past clashing comic with our drawls. Luna teasing Clara about her goody-two-shoes phase. Laughter eased old scars. But later, Clara pulled me aside. Voice low. Luna's talking marriage again. Real this time? With the laws changing. My heart tripped. Visions of rings and vows dancing. She deserves it, I said. Throat tight. Clara hugged me fierce. So do you. Big sis. Both of you. The proposal came unscripted. On a hike through the Chattahoochee forest. Leaves crunching copper underfoot. River murmuring secrets. Luna stopped at a bend. Knees hitting gravel sudden. A silver band glinting in her palm, simple. Etched with intertwined vines. Marry me proper. Nova. Let the world see our win. Tears blurred her face. Mine wet too. A laugh bubbling through sobs. Fool girl. Yes. We kissed saltsweet. Then called Clara. Her whoop echoing down the line. Planning wove through winter. Invitations handwritten on cardstock scented with lavender. Guests a mix of kin and chosen. Spring wedding dawned misty. The cabin yard transformed with arches of honeysuckle. Chairs mismatched from thrift finds. Clara officiated. Voice steady. Marla beaming beside with their newborn foster tucked close. Vows we wrote ourselves, mine of steady harbors. Hers of wild winds finding home. Rings slid warm. Kisses sealing. Cheers rising as fiddle tunes kicked up a hoedown. Dancing barefoot in the grass. Her dress swirling white against my blue linen. I felt the year's weight lift. Love's light unshadowed. But life? That stubborn river. Curved again. Luna's album hit big. Tours stretching coasts. Me staying put for school terms. Video calls flickering late with her hotel glow. Loneliness nipped. But letters bridged, hers lyrics scrawled hasty. Mine prose unfolding days. Clara's house thrived. Women finding feet. Her stories fueling my second book. Pages thick with redemption arcs. One tour stop in Seattle. Rain sheeting gray. She called mid-set break. Voice hushed excited. Come out. Surprise gig. But for us. I flew west. Jet lag heavy. Finding her in a dim bistro. Guitar acoustic. Singing our song to a crowd that didn't know our depth. Backstage. She pulled me into shadows. Lips claiming. Hands familiar yet thrilling. Missed this, she breathed. And we stole moments in the green room. Laughter muffled. Bodies remembering. Homecomings grew sweeter. The cabin our anchor. Porch swing witness to unwinding tours and shared breaths. Clara's family expanded. Playdates with little ones tumbling grass. Luna anti-fierce. Megrami iniest. Books sold steady. Readings in Atlanta drawing fans who saw themselves in our veiled truths. A decade on. Gray threading Luna's waves like mine. We sat riverside. Picnic spread simple, cheese. Bread. Wine from Clara's vineyard hobby. Blood one, she said. Head on my lap. Fingers tracing my knee. I smiled down. Hand in her hair. Ties that bind. Love that freeze. Dusk settled gentle. Fireflies winking approval. Our story etched enduring. The years after the wedding settled like silt in a slow river. Rich and grounding. But undercurrents tugged now and then. Reminding us nothing ran straight forever. Luna's star climbed steady. Albums charting whispers of queer anthems wrapped in southern twang. Her face on magazine covers that I'd clip and tuck in the cabin's drawer like talismans. I'd travel when school allowed. Slipping into tour buses that smelled of diesel and dreams. Finding her in hotel lobbies with eyes lighting like home fires. But the pull of place wore on her. The roads grind etching lines around her mouth. And one Nashville night. After a sold-out show. She collapsed into my arms backstage. Guitar clattering. Sobs racking quiet. It's too much? Nova. The lights? The lies, smiling for crowds who don't know the half. I held her there. Amid cables snaking floor like veins. My shirt damp with her tears. Shushing soft as to a child. Then we reshape it. Honey. Your terms. A breath shuddered from her. Long and releasing. And she nodded against my neck. Lips brushing skin in thanks. Back home. We pared down, fewer dates. More studio time in a Macon shed we'd converted. Walls papered with our scribbles. Windows overlooking the woods where deer grazed dawn. Her music deepened. Ritzier. Collaborations with Clara's halfway women. Songs born of shared scars that hit charts harder for their truth. Clara's life flowered parallel. The house a haven buzzing with laughter. Marla's art classes spilling paint on porches. Their kids, two adopted girls with braids and boundless questions, calling me Nana Nova. Luna Auntie Lou. Weekends? We'd pile into the old Ford for lake days. Coolers thumping with sandwiches. Swimsuits damp and sandy. One afternoon. As the girls splashed. Clara sidled up. Feet dangling dockside. Her once sharp edges softened by time. You saved us? You know, she said. Voice low over water lapping. Me from myself. Luna from the hole I left. I shook my head. Splash from the kids misting us. We saved each other. Sis. Her hand found mine. Squeeze firm. And in that touch. Old wounds sealed final. My writing bloomed too. Third book a memoir veiled thin. Chapters on raising kin in crisis. Loves that defied maps. Launch in Atlanta drew crowds. Luna reading excerpts on stage. Her voice lending gravel to my prose. Questions after probing gentle on the blood ties that bound us. It's humanistic. Y'all, she'd say. Draw wrapping warm. Love wins when we let it breathe. Signings stretched late. Fans lingering with stories of their own hidden hearts. And I'd sign books with a flourish. Heart full. But age crept subtle. My knees protesting hikes. Luna's hands callousing thicker on frets. A doctor's visit in fall confirmed it, early arthritis for me. The kind that slowed mornings but not spirit. She fretted. Brewing teas from online remedies. Massaging joints with oil-scented lavender. Her touch lingering tender into evenings where we'd sit firelit. Her strumming soft. My head in her lap. We'll grow old scandalous, she'd tease. Fingers weaving my graying strands. I'd chuckle. Breath catching on emotion. Already are. Sugar. Winter that year brought storm. Literal and not, a nor'easter dumping snow rare for Georgia. Power flickering out. Cabin chilled to bone. We hunkered with candles. Board games crackling laughter. But Clara called frantic. Pipes burst at the house. Kids scared and dark. We loaded the truck. Chains rattling tires. Carving through drifts to Macon. Arriving to chaos thawed by our arrival. Blankets piled. Stories spun by lantern. The girls curling between us. Luna's songs lulling sleep. Morning cleared blue. Repairs underway. But that night forged tighter. Family woven weatherproof. Spring tours resumed scaled. Luna headlining festivals in Austin again. Me tagging for the vibe. City heat wrapping us like memory. One gig. Under Texas stars strung electric. She dedicated a set to the woman who raised my heart, eyes finding mine in the throng. Cheers rising thunder. Backstage. Sweat slick. She pulled me close. Kiss tasting salt and stage smoke. Every note's yours, she murmured. And we slipped away to a rooftop. City sprawling below. Making love slow under vast sky. Sighs lost to wind. Home shifts came gradual, school retirement at 60. Days opening wide for writing retreats in the Carolinas lowcountry. Marshes breathing salt air. Gulls crying overhead. Luna joined when tours paused. Our rental cottage screens creaking nights. Her guitar harmonizing with waves. There. She penned an album acoustic. Raw as peeled bark. Tracks on aging graces. Love's enduring. Recording in Charleston studios. We'd wander Battery streets. Ghost tours tickling fancy. Her hand in mine casual. No stairs now in a world shifted kinder. Clara's milestone hit midsummer. 20th sober. A party at the house sprawling yard games and barbecue. Kin from afar converging. Toastrang. Marla's speech painting Clara's arc vivid. Girls reciting poems they'd penned proud. Luna and I slipped away midfest. To the river swing where it started. Her head on my shoulder. Swing chains rust soft. Full circle, she whispered. Breath feathering skin. I nodded. Lump throat deep. And still spinning. Fall brought Luna's health scare. A cough lingering to coughs that bent her double. Doctor's office sterile with worry. Tests blurred days. Waiting rooms chairs hard. My hand in hers constant. If it's bad, she said once. Voice thread thin. Promise you'll keep singing our song. Tears stung. My reply choked. Only if you do. Benign cyst. Relief flooding. But it etched us closer. Cherishing mornings coffee steamed. Evenings porch lit. We traveled lighter then. A cross-country drive in the revamped Ford. Route 66 dust on boots. Stops at diners for pie wedges and stories from waitresses with lined faces. Grand Canyon rim. Vast and humbling. We stood shoulder to shoulder. Her arm around me. Wind whipping hair. Bigger than us, I said. Ah, thick. She kissed my temple. But ours feels bigger. Laughter shared. Echoing Red Rock. Back east. Holidays layered tradition, Thanksgiving at Clara's. Tables groaning turkey and sides. Grace said joint. Christmas cabin quiet. Tree twinkling tinsel. Gifts wrapped newsprint, her a journal leather-bound. Mine sheet music blank for duets. New Year's. We danced kitchen slow to radio jazz. Her leading. My feet following sure. A decade more folded. 70s finding me silver-crowned. Luna's curls streaked white like birch bark. Books numbered 5. Lectures at colleges drawing young queer voices hungry for tales. Her discography spanned shelves. Retrospectives honoring the voice of Hidden South. Clara's house a legacy. Girls off to colleges but returning summers. Their partners folding in. Tapestry rich. One autumn. Leaves aflame. We revisited the Blue Ridge overlook. Truck parked same spot. View unchanged. She leaned on hood. Guitar slung casual. Strumming a medley of our lives, hooks from youth. Bridges of storm. Still in love, she asked. Eyes twinkling. My hand covered hers on frets. Sigh content. Deeper every breath. Kiss followed. Timeless. Sun dipping gold. Winters warmed with grandkids' visits. Clara's daughters birthing joys. Little hands tugging skirts. Questions endless. Luna taught chords tiny fingers. I spun yarns of southern witches kind. Clara. Graying graceful. Joined fireside. Marla's sketches framing walls. Legacy shaped subtle, Luna's foundation for women artists. Scholarships named joint. My endowments for lit programs rural. Awards came. Galas glittering. But home called always. Cabin hearth our north. 75 dawned misty. Health holding fragile. But spirit fierce. A stroke grazed Luna light. Rehab stubborn. My vigils bedside constant. Stories read soft till she squeezed hand return. Recovery wove us tighter. Walk slow woods. Her arm mine steady. Anniversary 25th. River picnic redux. Wine poured shallow. Rings glinting sun. Blood's victory, she toasted. Glass clinking. I leaned close. Whisper warm. Love's endless road. Dusk wrapped us gentle. Fireflies guardians. Story ours eternal. The 80s etched fine. Time's chisel gentle now. Carving wisdom from where? And in that softening? Our love deepened to something elemental. Like the river's constant murmur shaping stone. Luna's voice. Huskier with years. Took to podcasts. Sharing unvarnished truths of the road walked. Young listeners tuning in from dorms and dives. Her drawl a balm for hidden hurts. I'd guessed sometimes. Our banter easy. Hands brushing mics. Laughter lines crinkling shared. How'd you know, they'd ask. Voices eager. She'd glance my way. Eyes soft. Felt it in the bones. Darlin'. Blood and beyond. Clara's passing came quiet. Spring equinox. Her body giving after a fall. Hip shattering brittle. The call woke us pre-dawn. Marla's sob thick over line. And we drove through mist to Macon. Truck silent save radio hymns faint. Funeral simple. Church pews filled kin. Eulogies painting her fierce redemption. Luna spoke last. Guitar acoustic. Song she'd written dawn hours. Lyrics of sisters stitched from fray, you left a hollow. But taught us fillin'. Tears fell collective. My hand in hers anchor. Clara's girls clinging skirts. Now women themselves with lives branched wide. Grief settled seasonal. Waves cresting unexpected, a recipe in her script found drawer. Triggering Luna's quiet spells. Her pacing kitchen renewed. We'd sit then. Porch swing rhythm soothing. My arm her pillow. Breath sinking slow. She'd be proud, I'd murmur. Thumb stroking wrist. A sigh from her. Releasing. Of us? Yeah. Marla leaned heavy. House echoing empty. But weekends filled with us. Suppers sprawling stories. Grandkids chaos chasing shadows. Summer travels shifted domestic. Road trips to national parks. Yellowstone geysers steaming myth. Her wonder childlike. Hand pointing steam. Like our storms, she laughed. And we hiked trails paced slow. Picnic blankets wildflower strewn. Sandwiches devoured ants be damned. Evenings. Campfire crackle. Her songs weaving night. My notebook filling with vignettes, buffalo silhouettes. Her profile fire glowed. Fall brought honors. Luna inducted folk hall. Ceremony Nashville grand. Lights hot stage. My seat front row beaming. Speech hers heartfelt. Dedication split, to Nova. Who raised more than kin, raised my soul. To Clara. Whose absence taught presence. Applause thundered. Embrace on stage tear salted. Flashes popping blind. After party swirled champagne. But we slipped early. Motel bed welcoming. Bodies familiar terrain. Sighs of celebration deep. Winters cozied inward. Cabin snow draped rare. Wood stove fed steady. Books stacked towers. My sixth novel brewed. Weaving Clara's arc fictional. Publisher calls buzzing excited. Luna beta read chapters. Red pen gentle. Critiques over cocoa steaming. Hits home, she'd say. Eyes distant memory. Revisions flowed. Launch virtual pandemic proof. But fans gathered drive-in style. Cars honking approval. Health dance delicate. My heart fluttering erratic one checkup. Pills prescribed pocket-sized. Luna fussed herbal. Brewing ginger tea's tart. Her worry veiled in jokes. Can't lose my muse, she'd quip. But nights. She'd hold closer. Breath even on my neck. Reciprocity came her way. Vocal nodes strained. Rest ordered vocal coach strict. Studio silence chafed. But she filled journals lyric stuffed. Duets planned joint. Grandkids grew anchors. Clara's eldest wedding coastal. Carolina Santos. Vows ocean backed. We sat front. Tissues handy. Luna's hand mine damp. Tears mutual joy. Reception danced barefoot. Her twirling grandgirl skirts. Me swaying slow with Marla. Whispers of Clara's smile imagined above. Across South jaunt followed. Tracing youth trails, Macon trailer ghosts now wild lot. Overgrowth claiming, prison gates Clara once passed. Now mural bright with hope hands. Full circle, Luna murmured. Camera clicking memory. Austin revisited. Club same dive. Her acoustic set nostalgic. Crowd singing along old hits. To roots, bartender toasted. Shots burning sweet. Spring renewal. Garden till joint. Seeds poked earth, tomatoes. Basil. Her hands soil darkened. Mine weeding careful. Harvests graced tables. Salsas Jared summer bright. Shared with neighbors who'd long accepted our quiet union. Community wove. Potlucks porch lit. Stories swapped firefly nights. Luna's memoir penned collaborative. My edits prose polishing her raw verse. Title simple, ties that twine. Release packed house. Readings tandem. Voices blending harmony. Q&A delved deep. Regrets, one asked. Her pause thoughtful. Hand seeking mine. Only Haydn, too long. Applause warm. Book signed duo. Fans thanks lingering. 80s waned. 90s dawning tentative. Joints creakier. But spirits soared. A legacy tour mini. Select cities intimate. Her set paired essential. Me opening readings prose poetic. Chicago windswept. Hall echoey. Her voice carrying clear, Seattle rain-laced. Crowd cozy, back home finale. Cabin yard stage. Kin gathered blanket seated. Stars canopy. Health's curve sharpened. My vision blurring ink faint. Glasses stacked futile. Luna read aloud evenings. Her tone actor rich. Pages turning slow. Hers. Balance wavering tours. King carved oak her prop proud. We adapt, she'd say. Grip firm mine. Therapy joint. Walks woods paced mutual. Birdsong therapy free. Grandkids milestones marked, graduations cap tossed. First loves shy announced. Our wisdom doled gentle. Luna taught guitar circles. Tiny hands fretting chords, I led story hours. Imagination sparked wild. 90 circled. Celebration cabin grand. Balloons bobbing. Cake layered lemon. Candles 90 flickering defiant. Toasts layered love, Marla's on endurance. Girls on legends lived. Luna's vow renewed soft. Ring kiss sealed, still yes. Dance followed. Arms looped loose. Steps shuffled sweet. Winter mild that year. Holidays hybrid. Video calls kin far. Table set places empty honored. New Year's quiet. Porch swing countdown. Her head shoulder nestled. Breath fogging chill. Best life, she whispered. Fingers laced. My reply sigh warm, ours forever. Spring bloomed hesitant. Health's tide ebbing mine. Hospital stays sterile beeps. Luna bedside constant. Handhold lifeline. Fight, she urged. Voice crack steady. I did. Home returning frail but fierce. Rehab chairbound temporary. Summer healed incremental. Garden tended her hand solo. Harvest shared bed tray. Songs bedside hummed. Lyrics lifting fog. Fall crisp. Leaves rake joint rake handed. Piles jumped grandkid giggles. 91 wintered gentle. Snow light dusting. Cabin warm quilted. Memoir sequel brewed. Our voices taped tandem. Stories unfinished. Legacy fund grew. Scholarships blooming artists' dreams. One dawn. River walk slow. Cane thudding path. She stopped sudden. Eyes river reflected. Thank you, she said. Simple profound. Kiss followed. Timeless. For raising us both. Years whispered on. Love's river unending. Blood's ties triumphant quiet. Cabin stood sentinel. Porch swinging empty now. But echoes lingered, sighs shared. Songs sung. Hearts one whole. In the end? As breath shallowed tandem. Hands clasped final. The story closed not with period. But pause. Inviting readers to their own continuations. Humanistic echo, love. Bent but unbroken. Always finds its way home.